Today on Ask BRStv we answer, would you use the Red Sea DIY net cover over our own BRS Screen Net top? Hey Reefers, Randy back with another Ask BRStv question, only this time we're challenging a question that was brought up here in the office of whether Ryan would add a BRS DIY net or a Red Sea DIY Screen Net top for the Red Sea E170 SPS dominant tank in his office. Of course, my first thought goes to slapping a BRS DIY net on it and calling it a day, but Ryan swore up and down that he would choose the Red Sea net from now on over our own in almost every case. So this question may be Ryan's way to get someone to build a screen net top for his tank, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was, but either way the tank needs one and I've never built the Red Sea version, so it's worth trying out and giving you my thoughts. So first things first, everything comes in a single tube and the net itself is rolled up with minimal folds as opposed to our netting, which is just folded up into a square. I can tell you that dealing with some of those creases by trying to stretch the net or pulling out the hairdryer to work them out is definitely a pain, so I'll chalk one up to Red Sea in this department. The aluminum profile edges of the Red Sea net feel a better quality and more rigid than the BRS DIY kit, and I'd have to say that the best feature overall that I can see is the additional channel on the top for these sleek hanging clips to secure the net on the tank. Right off the bat with these clips, I don't have to worry about finding extra hanging clips that fit my tank glass thickness or silicone acrylic pieces inside the tank to hold the net on. Instead, Red Sea clips just lay the frame inside the tank and suspend it on the edges, which is probably the best solution for rimless tanks that I've seen. Okay, so I'm a bit spoiled in this particular case because I'm building this one for a Red Sea specific tank, which has all of the cutting measurements pre-listed on the back of the instructions. But as with any DIY project I've done in the past where I really wanted it to look good, the rule of thumb has always been to measure 3 or 4 times, then cut once. So if I wasn't using this net on a Red Sea tank, I'd definitely follow my own advice here. So I cut the sides and front and back frame perimeters to length, slid the hanging clips somewhat in place on each section, added in 1/4 pieces with all of the spline channels facing towards the center of the screen top, cut individual lengths of spline for each side and a section of netting that was larger than the frame by a couple of inches on each side, and I'm ready to tighten up the net and roll in the spline. Now I've made a few screen tops in my day, so I'm not going to bore you with the step-by-step of laying down the net and keeping it just tight enough not to rip the material, but not so loose that it gets saggy in places as you use the spline to secure the net to the frame. But with the finished product in hand, I'd have to say that Ryan may be onto something here. This may be one of the better net tops that I've made to date. All right, I'm going to close this one out, but with a couple of notes to add in. One, I really like that Red Sea added in corners with edges you can cut out to run a cord or two through, which really helped with the 3K gyres that we have in this tank, and something that might be more difficult to do with other options. And two, I'll come right out and say it, the reviews on this one are pretty rough and primarily pertains to issues with the net being somewhat easy to tear. I can't say that I ran into the same issue, and I wouldn't consider myself a delicate DIYer, but I did find that using large binder clips to hold the netting in place while I gently roll in the spline was a big help to keep it in place and not overstretch it, which may be the main reason for some of these reported issues. One thing I'd also mention is that the included netting is pretty close to our same size 1/4 inch netting, so if you wanted a little tighter weave, I wouldn't hesitate to pick up some of our 1/8 inch netting instead, especially since the parts to the Red Sea kit are available individually if I wanted to build my own kit. All right, finally, I'd say that Red Sea definitely has us beat when it comes to cutout options. They have a few variations for cutouts in different sizes to customize your net around things like plumbing, light brackets, and overflow boxes. And on kits like those for the Red Sea Reefer and Deluxe tanks, these are already included. Thanks for watching, and click that top video for more on these Red Sea E-Series tanks, or choose the bottom video to turn your tank into a bare bottom. We give away order refunds and pay for shopping carts each week for BRS preferred reefers, so click that link in the lower left to join, and we'll see you next time on Ask BRStv.